You're watching Camnet News. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. The story is making headlines on our desk tonight. 17-year-old pupil of KABULONGA Boys Secondary School murdered by peers. And chiefs issuing land more than 250 hectares is criminal, Lands Minister has charged. Beneficiaries of social cash transfer complain of untimely payment. And international news, Trump orders most U.S. troops out of Somalia. And finally, in sports news, Senegal mourns football hero Papa Diop. Join me shortly for the details.
Hello, have you heard about Msika? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, Msika is here. Advertise on Msika between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact
+260 953 995099. +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467.
Msika, allowing your business to grow.
Thanks for joining us. We begin our news on a very sad note tonight, where a grade 12 pupil aged 17 years of Ballaston area of KABULONGA Boys has been murdered. He is identified as Ryan Piri, was died after he was attacked and beaten by a group of pupils from Twin Palm Secondary School. Frank Piri, aged 38, father to the deceased, reported the murder incident to the police on behalf of his deceased son, who was attacked and beaten by a group of pupils from Twin Palm School. The deceased is reported to have been in the company of 3 colleagues who ran away after being attacked. The incident occurred on the 4th of December 2020 at around 10 hours between Malata area and Twin Palm area. And in another development, Jeff Miwenge, aged 18, of Lusaka's John Lane compound, a pupil at Lusaka High School, was assaulted by his fellow pupils and currently admitted at the University Teaching Hospital. Jordan Miwenge reported the matter on behalf of his son to the police. The father reported of the incident after rushing the victim to the hospital, and police rushed to UTH, could not get details of the injuries. Zambia police spokesperson Esther Katongo has cautioned pupils writing their examinations to deceased from engaging in themselves in criminal activities or risk being arrested or persecuted. Investigations into the two matters have since been instituted.
Receiving reports of assaults, and these are matters where the grade 12 pupils who are about to write their examinations are attacking each other or assaulting each other. And one of the cases which we have reported, which we have recorded, is where one pupil has even died after being attacked by other pupils, and then the other one was where a pupil was attacked also by colleagues and was rushed to UTH, where he is admitted. We want to advise or caution the pupils, these grade 12s who are writing their examinations, that there is no need for them to get excited and begin engaging themselves in criminal activities. So we are advising them to desist from such activities or risk being arrested.
May his soul rest in peace. Moving on in the news, the Chinese appetite on the land acquisition is on the rise in Zambia, with the recent reports coming from Chiwombo District, Central Province. Recently, a scam was unearthed where over 10,000 people in Chief Liteta's area are earmarked for displacement because of China's invasion. According to the information obtained, about 8,000 hectares of land has been given out without due consideration of whether the land in question has occupants. This has forced the initial occupants of the land to seek government intervention. Meanwhile, Lands and Natural Resources Minister Jane Kapata has expressed ignorance about the matter, advising the affected people to report the matter to the ministry. Details in this report. The Chinese dominance in Zambia has continued to manifest itself in various sectors of the Zambian economy. Last month, Camnet TV reported that over 10,000 people from 12 headmen in Chiwombo district, chiefly Teta area, are faced with eviction as the land they've occupied for years is said to have been sold off to the Chinese nationals. It is alleged that over 8,000 hectares of land had been given to the Chinese for various investments, contrary to what the laws of Zambia say when it comes to acquiring traditional land. In all this, the villagers have vowed to defend the land they've called home for years. Let's look back at what was reported. While traditional land is vested in traditional leaders and government has less control, the laws are clear and the Ministry of Lands oversees it. Lands and Natural Resources Minister Jane Kapata has asked the people of Leteta to lodge a formal complaint to the ministry, promising to act on it.
Bring that complaint to my office. I have not received that complaint, and once we receive the complaint, then we'll move in. Like I always emphasize that chiefs are not allowed to give more than 250 hectares. So 80,000 in itself is a criminal. It's a criminal. It's criminal. Somebody would be liable for prosecution because it's not they're not supposed to give such big chunks of land. And even when an investor is coming, we always ask people to do an economic survey. See who is living in that particular land before you can give it to somebody. So let them bring in a formal complaint to my office and I will immediately act on it. Thank you very much.
It is hoped that once the complaint is lodged, the ministry will act on it indeed. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka. Persons with cross-cutting disabilities have expressed concern over government's delay to pay them their social cash transfer funds. Those spoken to say this year they've only received social cash transfer once. Currently, 90,000 kwacha is given, 90 kwacha rather, is given per household and is paid bi-monthly at 180 kwacha households of members with disabilities receiving a double amount of 180 per month, which is 360 kwacha bi-monthly. Christine Kawe from John Lane Compound, who is one of the social cash transfer beneficiaries, tells Camnet TV that the disbursement of funds is untimely and unpredictable. Details in this report.
Social cash transfers play a vital role in poverty reduction and reducing inequalities. It is encouraging to note that the social welfare sector in Zambia is increasingly progressing with dynamic and effective programming. There are opportunities to further improve social cash transfer programming. With political will, the weaknesses and challenges on the social cash transfer program can be overcome, leading to an effective program implementation. Christine Kabwe from John Lane Compound in Kanyama constituency, one of the beneficiaries of the scheme, shared her experience.
Yani 360 ingandole sonkira 500 nokulyolifwayo yajichepa fe sana n'abana b'esukuru abana besu bambita balembere na grade 12 bambita balembere na grade 9 bambita baleremba grade 7 umulandi walupia tatukwenda tiramukulomba tandizo tureromba 20 kwacha 30 kwacha 15 kwacha tuliremo tusungera kwa tisonkere ngani. She
explains that she has only received the money once this year, adding that the issue of unpredictable payments is negatively affecting her well-being.
Social cash transfer chapa elonga nishisha ba UN fwebe ngita twapoka amadisable tabapoka abapoka fya amadisable banono 3/4 abapoka batunturu abakashana abalumendo abakwati kuti abomba nenchito batikuli fofwe bali mana fwe bapoka yama 2400 banono abapoka.
Minister of Community Development and Social Services Kampamba Chewe has told Camnet News that the Ministry of Finance has released funds to settle the arrears. The good news is that in the 2021 national budget, the government has increased allocation towards the social cash transfer to 2.3 billion kwacha, which is more than the 1 billion kwacha allocated in the 2020 national budget. The number of beneficiaries under the traditional social cash transfer program will be increased to 994,000 households in 2021 from the current 700,000 households. Further, the amount per household will be increased to 110 kwacha from the current 90 kwacha per month. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
7 days remaining to the close of the voter registration period, various stakeholders have continued pressing the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ to at least extend the period to allow reach the targeted 9 million people. As of yesterday, the Commission told the media that it has only captured about 4.3 million people in 3 weeks, a situation many say has indicated that more needs to be done to ensure that the period is extended. Advocates for National Development and Democracy Executive Director Samuel Banda has since called on ECZ to add 3 weeks to the process for it to be fair both on the Commission and the people. With 12th December set as the deadline for voter registration exercise, the centers are still characterized by long queues of people trying to get captured by the officers. Counting down to that, only 7 days are remaining, and with little hope of extending the period, stakeholders are calling on the extension based on the statistics released by the Electoral Commission of Zambia that only slightly over 4 million people have been captured in 3 weeks. The accuracy of the voter register is said to be a key element in ensuring that all qualified constituents can enjoy their right to vote. While the process is said to be slow, people seem to be eager to acquire this important document. Advocates for National Development and Democracy Executive Director Samuel Banda has asked the Commission to extend the voter registration period.
I'd like to urge the Electoral Commission of Zambia to consider extending the voters registration period. First of all, we are happy that despite the challenges that they've been facing, they have managed to register almost half of the target number, which is 9 million. However, we are concerned with the last phase, which is remain about 7 days. I don't think it will be possible to achieve the 9 million target. Hence, we are urging them to consider extend the registration period so that all the eligible voters can have the opportunity to register and get the voters card so that they participate in the governance of our country next year in 2021 and vote for the candidate they are preferring candidate. If we are able to achieve about 4.3 million under 3 phases, which is about 21 days, for them to reach the other remaining target, which is about 5.something million. It is important that it extend to about 3 weeks, which is another 21 days.
And Monali, aspiring member of parliament, took time to talk to the people on the queue and encouraging them to take advantage of this remaining period to register and take part in next year's election.
Voters card, not already tina makese tukaunda square kuja wanasowesa ma voters card then wazaka bani wao ambako tumira ine ba MP inaweza shita bani so teni not tingareko chekare na ka voters card tikatenga takasunga bwino so that next year tikavote.
The voter registration exercise commenced on the 9th of November 2020 and is expected to automatically close on the 12th of December 2020. In this period, the Commission hopes to have achieved the targeted number of 9 million approximated eligible voters. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka. The University of Zambia Vice-Chancellor Professor Luke Mumba says that the university has placed importance on fighting gender inequalities and ending gender-based violence at the institution and beyond. Speaking when he addressed a few students and lecturers in commemoration of the 16 days of gender activism under the theme Orange the World, Fund, Respond, Prevent and Collect, Professor Mumba says UNZA has come up with a gender-based violence strategy to ensure that students are learning in a free environment. He says the university has a whistleblower policy which empowers the victims to be helped by speaking out when they feel they are violated. He says it is the institution's mandate to ensure that learning is done in a conducive manner.
In our community where we have people from diverse backgrounds, it is definitely there. It takes different forms. There's sexual harassment, physical harassment, there's emotional and economical harassment against staff, students, and all the other people that are within the university community. So this is very, very important that UNZA becomes part of these activities every year that happens. So as a university, we want to curb this gender-based violence. So we have in place in the University of Zambia sexual harassment policy. We also have a whistleblowers policy, which are aimed at facilitating victims or potential victims to report this kind of activity. It doesn't matter where it comes from, whether it's from staff, students. We want to ensure that we keep it so that we create an enabling environment where learning, research, and all other activities that surround the university can take place in a conducive environment. So it is our responsibility as university management, as staff and students, to ensure that we minimize or remove completely acts of GBV in our institution.
The Health Professions Council of Zambia, HPCZ, has continued to demand quality health services in all health facilities, public, private, and mission for the protection of the general public. HPCZ Registrar and Chief Executive Officer, Wembia Walia, who has been in Northwestern Province with his team assessing mission hospitals for compliance to the set standards, says the regulatory body does not expect health facilities to relax at any point in the provision of quality health care. HPCZ has established that mission hospitals in Northwestern Province are not isolating themselves from actualizing the agenda of universal health coverage. Mr. Wale says while the mission hospitals have shown commitment in ensuring there is modern infrastructure and equipment in the facilities, they have also benefited from government's massive recruitment of health workers. The HPCZ registrar has since commended the church for supplementing government's effort of strengthening primary health care by taking services closer to the people.
What we've established is that they are not working in isolation. I think the declaration of attainment of universal health coverage is being bought into. I think they are buying into that and making sure that they have a role to play in actualizing that. So I think as a council, we are more interested in how they are maintaining the standards, providing quality health care, so we will not move away from our mandate, but ensure that even as they are providing a service, it's within the confines of the law. And they are not only maintaining the standards, but they have put systems in place that are assuring of quality improvement, because that's the only way that the people of this country are going to be afforded an opportunity to receive quality health care services at all times. I think as a council we want to applaud them. We have seen quite a lot happening in these mission hospitals. We passed through Mukinge Hospital and we've seen quite a lot happening at Mukinge Hospital. This is an institution that has benefited a lot from the human resource, the massive recruitment that have taken place. So we see that government has not just been focusing on the public health facilities, but they have also been supporting the church, the mission institutions. We have seen Tokoloki benefiting from the human resource, and we've also seen Chavuma Mission benefiting from the massive recruitment of skilled health workers. So I think as a council, we know that when the government is talking about universal health coverage, for us as a council, it's quality universal health coverage.
You're watching Camnet News. We take a break, but still to come, the Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs expresses concern of indecent pictures circulating on social media. Stay with us.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customer service @lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Hello, have you heard about Msika? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, Msika is here. Advertise on Msika between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact
+260 953 995099, +260 962 444 726, or +260 971 177 467.
Msika, allowing your business to grow.
Thank you for staying on. We move on with the news. The Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs has expressed concern with the increase in the number of indecent pictures being posted on social media platforms. In a media statement avowed to Camnet TV, Minister responsible for national guidance, Reverend Godfrida Smaili, says her ministry is not in support of businesses of nudity. The Reverend Smaili says the exposure of bodies by both men and women is uncultural and unconstitutional, and that all well-meaning Zambians should condemn such maneuvers. She says government expects all citizens to conduct themselves and their businesses in line with the country's national values and principles, which puts premium on morality, ethics, human dignity, and patriotism, among others. Reverend Smaili has since urged product promoters, social media influencers, and sponsors of products and services to be mindful of the culture they operate in and ensure they adhere to the said national values and principles as they conduct their businesses. In other news, the Zambian Empowerment Hub for Entrepreneurship and Skills Training Executive Director Clarence Moziamba has called for youths in the country to embrace entrepreneurship and look beyond formal employment. Mr. Moziamba has told Camnet TV in an interview that youth unemployment is on the rise and that there is need for youths to think of innovative ideas that will create employment for themselves, not only for one person but several others. He says entrepreneurship is key in fighting poverty in the country and that youths need to take up the mantle and get involved in building the industry of innovative ideas.
We are also urging youth to be innovative and to be creative and to think outside the box. Let them think of something. If they need help to panel beat their proposals, our empowerment hub is there. just like we did, we built capacity in about 20 youth organizations when it came to filling in the youth empowerment fund. Because when we get that money ourselves, we are going to enhance job creation and we are going to reduce poverty. Because the challenges we are facing as young people are youth unemployment, poverty, and also lack of equipment. So you find that sometimes even jobs that we can do ourselves, they are being given to foreigners. We are calling for local empowerment, citizens empowerment, and government should come up with friendly policies to ensure that Zambians are favored, unlike foreigners.
A local NGO known as Suvuko Executive Director Eugene Machona has charged that the country has failed to address the increasing number of street children due to displaced approaches. Earlier this year, in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, government retrieved a number of children from the streets and took them to orphanages where they are back on the street. Meanwhile, Machona says helping the children on the streets based on handouts approach should be done away with, adding that taking care of children goes beyond giving them food and shelter. He says there is need to come up with a better integration program by identifying activities that would make them busy and positively engaged. Mr. Machona says street children must be guided on how to live responsible, and by guiding them, pursue their talents and linking them to influential people in society.
So just taking them and dumping them in an orphanage where they're just waiting what time they're having breakfast or lunch, there's much more that is missing from the child. They miss that life of running up and down, chasing each other. So if you are to remove them from the street, identify some activities that will keep them busy. This is what will see the student out. So that when you identify these activities, for example, you take them to a point where those that are mature enough, they begin interacting with the musician. At the end of the day, they make like a 5 kwacha. Because that's the money they are making on the street. When they make that money, they are being taken care in a certain boarding facility or in a certain orphanage, where they know to say, apart from just waiting for a meal, I've got something that I can also buy what I want within that home where we're being kept. They also want that life of freedom. Okay? So they feel like when you take them and put them in an orphanage, they're in prison on its own. So there are things that actually miss out, whereby you see them forth and back from the street, because we are not addressing the real challenges, the real attractions that will make this student out of the street. When you take them out, like as we are coming up with a transit home, where we have identified best ways on how we can remove these students on the street. Take them into this transit home. Put programs where different people that are talented in different fields, they visit these centers. Okay? So that when they visit those that are good in music, they begin interacting with artists. That will become also an activity on their own where they are kept busy. Okay? So that tomorrow you're going to be growing youngsters that are going to pursue their career in music.
The Lusaka District Commissioner David Silubanje has cautioned farmers against selling fertilizer under the Farmer Input Support Program, adding that it contradicts government agenda to steer productivity. Mr. Silubanje notes that government is subsidizing farmers, hence it would be regrettable if some people choose to misuse the inputs. He has revealed that in Lusaka District, like many other areas, the inputs were received on time, and he is confident that the country will have a good yield. And Mr. Silubanje has expressed happiness that the FEES program is responding to the agricultural diversification agenda by accommodating other crops like cassava, millet, and groundnuts.
Meaning, as I said earlier on, that for the first time in Lusaka, we are having these inputs. You can see how the system has greatly improved, especially on the FEES. So we expect our people to start tilling the land now and prepare the land for cultivation. That's my advice to the farmers, especially men. Those who want to sell this fertilizer, these bags, in exchange of beer, they should stop doing that, because the government of the Republic of Zambia, through His Excellency Dr. KABULONGA, has brought in these to specifically help the farmers to grow more food so that we can have food security in the country, especially for Lusaka. Therefore, selling may not help to secure our homes with food. So we should desist from doing that. For the people of Zambia, for other things like seeds.
The Zambia National Farmers Union has implored the farming community in agribusinesses to familiarize themselves with the new Food Reserve Agency (FRA) Act, as it has potential to affect most businesses involved in the marketing of commodities. ZNFU Public Relations Officer Kakoma Kalei says the new act will have a profound impact on the agriculture sector, and Mr. Kalei has cited the aspect of FRA marketing and trading designated agricultural commodity, purchasing, importing, trade or export a designated agricultural commodity. He added that the new act also provides for FRA to collect information related to the marketing of the designated agricultural commodity and to advise the minister on matters relating to the National Strategic Food Reserve. Meanwhile, Mr. Kalei says ZNFU has noted that FRA has been reinvented to actively participate in the market directly, competing with the private sector, moving away from their mandate as a National Strategic Food Reserve institution, which he says is a step in the right direction. The Food Reserve Agency Act 1995 was repealed and replaced with a new act in October this year, 2020. You're watching Camnet News. We take another set of commercials, but still to come is international and sports news.
And why do you look so pale and busy scratching yourself?
Lamwandi, you know my skin is very sensitive. I've tried all the skin products and nothing seems to work.
Have you tried Oracle Pure Glycerin?
Oracle Pure Glycerin? What's that?
Just give me a minute.
Oracle Pure Glycerin gives your skin a youthful and healthy glow.
Ish, you're glowing. Don't tell me.
Yes!
I already know the secrets.
Oracle Pure Glycerin!
Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for that perfect skin.
Have you had issues in your life and family? Has your life been stagnant or you have been going in circles? All hope is not lost. Your life will bounce back again. Dr. Francis Miles will be speaking at the Courts of Heaven Conference on Thursday 3rd and Friday 4th December 2020 from 17 hours to 19 hours. On Saturday the 5th of December 2020, Dr. Francis Miles will conduct a full-day seminar on destroying evil limiting altars. Time 09 hours to 16:30 hours. Lunch and drinks will be on sale. On Sunday, Dr. Miles will conduct a service at 09 hours to 11 hours with your host, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International. Music by Kings Malembe Malembe. Admission is free.
This is Camnet News. We now look at international stories. The U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered the withdrawal of most American troops from Somalia, the Defense Department said in a statement on Friday, and a move that is part of the global pullback of U.S. forces before Trump leaves office next month. The Pentagon has not said how many U.S. personnel will stay in Somalia to train and advise local forces. But critics say the withdrawal could not come at a worse time when fighting in neighboring Ethiopia and upcoming elections in Somalia. In other news, still on the global front, U.S. President-elect Joe Biden is calling on the Congress to urgently pass a COVID-19 relief bill. He says the situation is bleak and urgent action needs to be taken.
Preparing for a withdrawal, some of the 700 US troops whose work training local forces in Somalia is coming to a premature end, raising questions about the fight against the armed group Al-Shabaab.
The blow from the U.S. operational standpoint is that over time it'll lose its ability to have American eyes on the ground, to have more interaction with Somalian troops who have not proven that resilient in the fight against terrorism and needed that U.S. backing. And so it really is a blow to Somalia in that sense, and for no good reason.
President Donald Trump has ordered their withdrawal as part of his plan to reduce U.S. involvement in military missions abroad. It comes after announcements last month to draw down troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. Trump says he's determined to fulfill the election promises he made before he leaves the White House next month. The Pentagon says it's concerned about the threat posed by Al-Shabaab, and one Democratic congressman on the House Armed Services Committee says the withdrawal of U.S. troops is, in his words, a surrender to al-Qaeda and a gift to China. Analysts say President-elect Joe Biden could reverse Trump's drawdown.
The U.S. is all over Africa. They're all over the world. There's some, 40 or 50 countries with American troops. And so Biden will probably be able to get that level of troops back into Somalia if he needs to.
The Pentagon hasn't said how many U.S. personnel will stay in Somalia to train and advise local forces. But critics say the withdrawal could not come at a worse time, with fighting in neighboring Ethiopia and upcoming elections in Somalia.
With colder weather on the horizon and the coronavirus surging in an already fragile economy, the United States is bracing for a tough winter. American employers sharply scaled back hiring in the last month, adding just 245,000 jobs, the fewest since April. President-elect Joe Biden says quick action is needed to reverse what he described as one of the worst economic crises in modern history.
The folks out there aren't looking for a handout. They just need help. They're in trouble through no fault of their own. Nothing they did caused them to have hours cut or lose their job or drop out of the market. What they need us to understand. We're in a crisis. We need to come together as a nation. We need the Congress to act and act now.
Biden has highlighted the plight of working-class Americans and struggling business owners, speaking to those who have lost jobs in the service industry and public sector in a virtual roundtable discussion earlier this week, like Karen Coffey, who lost her job working in a sports stadium.
We do have a lot of concerns, Mr. Biden. It's been rough. My last day of work was March the 8th when everything shut down.
Retailers shed jobs in November, what would normally be peak holiday shopping season, a reflection of fewer consumers shopping in physical stores. Restaurants, bars, and hotels saw modest job growth, but many continue to struggle amid the pandemic, with parts of the country beginning to reimpose restrictions on businesses.
We're trying to save lives and keep people healthy. And at the same time, to do that, we wind up having to close businesses, which means that people may not have shelter and may not have healthy food. So there's a balance or a needle you have to thread right there.
In all, nearly 10 million jobs lost since the pandemic have yet to return, with a rising proportion of the unemployed describing their jobs as gone for good.
That's it in international news. We now look at sports news. In sports news, Senegalese football hero Papa Bouba Diop, who died in France last week, aged 42, is being buried in a private ceremony at his birthplace near Dakar. On Friday, President Macky Sall led tributes to him, saying the nation's loss was immense. Diop scored the only goal in 2002 World Cup match, which saw Senegal upset then reigning champions France. Several of his former teammates, some overcame the emotion in attending Friday's ceremony. They wore the shirts of the national team bearing his name and his number 19. Striker El Hadji Diop said Diop had been a model teammate, while Henry Camera said he had lost his twin brother. Diop's body was flown back on Friday from Lens in northern France, where he died after a long illness. Well, that sporting item ends our news this evening, but before we go, let's just look at the headlines once again. 17-year-old pupil of KABULONGA Boys Secondary School murdered by peers. And chiefs issuing more than 250 hectares of land is criminal, charges lands minister. Beneficiaries of the social cash transfer complain of untimely payment. In international news, Trump orders most U.S. troops out of Somalia. And finally, in sports news, Senegal mourns football hero Papa Bouba Diop. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, and it's coming from John 1 verse 12, and it reads, "But to all who did receive him, he gave them the right to be children of God, to those who believe in his name." Well, that's all we had on the news desk. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Good night.